I remember the battles with Corvo as a young toddler. It's like the battles to get to sleep, and then when she was out, boom, for a long time.
But Adria doesn't, she doesn't sleep every day. But yeah, we went to drop Isaiah off at practice, and on our way back, she was sleeping. So that's fun. I like when she sleeps.
Did she
And
sleep
she's
in
still sleeping.
the car? The sound of the car, the motion of the car.
It doesn't happen often. So it's probably mean that she had a play date this morning. She had her friend over until about 2. So I think they played a lot. So that had her tired probably.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So how are you today?
It's so fascinating to when we talk and we talk about like little like Bella Joy especially. It's like because I go back and it's like, oh yeah, I remember that. I remember that experience. I remember. I was just thinking. I just want to share this because I think it's kind of interesting. What Corvo would always like be in the car seat and they'd say, Dad, I'm going to go to sleep right now. And I say, okay. And then
2 minutes after.
I do no, it was just like instantaneous.
Instantaneous.
It's like made the decision. Corvo made the decision and then immediately fell asleep. It's like, I wish I had that kind of control over myself.
Yeah, that's fun. So how is your day? We still don't have the sun. So
really?
It's like, yeah, it's gray. And
Yeah.
actually my friend was telling me that his wife is, depressed during the winter because of the lack of sun.
Yeah, it's a thing for sure. It's I think they call it seasonal affective disorder or something like that.
So let me tell you something about it. I grew up in Senegal, you know that. So it's very shiny, very sunny all day, every day of the year. And so when we would watch some movies and hear people talking about depression, we would be like, it just exists in Europe, Europe or America, because
it's
there
not a
is no
thing
such
here.
there's no such thing as depression. I don't see people depressed. They have other illnesses or mental disorders, but depression and anxiety is not one of it. And I wonder if it's because of the community living,
Right.
nobody is alone.
Yeah.
You always have someone to be with.
Right.
Now it can be very shallow. You don't talk about everything. There are codes. You don't talk about certain things, but basically you're never alone. So you don't have the time to be depressed. So you even fight to have some alone time.
And we have, well, I can't speak for everybody, but I know I have an abundance of alone time myself.
Yeah. And people don't, I mean, that's like when you are, isolation is also a big, like it is a big cause of depression and anxiety when you're on your own. And people are a lot on their own in the US.
Yeah.
In France as well.
Yeah. I think mostly in the European countries and in America, it seems like that's kind of the way. There's not as much of a structure set in place for the elders to live with their with their kids or whatever, to have an extended family around you. I don't know if that's true across the board, but I know for me and for my family, that was, we moved away from where the rest of our family lived, and so we didn't have regular get-togethers and birthday parties and so on and so forth.
In Africa, we find that also crazy. Like when there is no assisted living for older people, like your parents, they live with you. So nobody, like old people don't die alone. So we find that too very sad. Assisted living, elderly homes. And so, that's just different. And I think that's great that there, it can be a burden for young,
Yeah.
like young married couples, who have to live with a mother-in-law or a father-in-law. But overall, people are happy having grandparents living around.
Yeah.
So, like, I remember growing up, my grandma was in Mali, in Bamako, but we would look forward, to go visit her, or for her if she would come for a month or so, because we would learn so much. She would tell us a lot of things, and we just loved it. And they spoiled us, and
Yeah.
so
Grandparents will do that.
yeah,
For sure.
they would just spoil us, and it's fun. And yeah, like I personally, that was for me, that's the biggest loss for me, is that my kids didn't have to enjoy their grandparents. My parents passed away before my kids were born.
Yeah.
So they never got to enjoy that. And that's a big loss for me. A big
Yeah.
sadness that I have, that my kids didn't have to enjoy.
Yeah. I think about that for Corvo, because that was kind of the situation. I mean, we had a sort of a social network here, but no family.
Yeah, no
here
family.
to speak of. And so the Corvo's experience with a family gathering was, it's like, we got to get in the car, we got to drive for 9 hours, and then there's these
Oh,
people
wow.
I never see, and we have this tradition that we do that. And yeah, I'd kind of like to talk with Corvo about their experience of my mom and Jennifer, Corvo's mom, as well. Like, what was your experience of your grandparents, your grandma, your grandfather, and so on? Yeah, my dad died when Corvo was 4, so probably there's not much
Doesn't
remembering there.
remember.
And then with my let's see, I want to say Corvo was 8 when my mom died, so about 4 years later. Yeah, and so I think she remembers some extended visits with my grandma, or with my mom, with her grandma. Yeah.
Well, in Senegal, even if your grandparents like died, like we would have other people playing that role, And it has been for me a big reason for loneliness, discontentment sometimes, and maybe expectations. Even when we moved here, I know I had this longing for a community, of just people doing life together, living life together.
Yeah.
And in motherhood too, especially when you have little kids.
Yeah.
So there are some functions at church, or I remember attending, like we started the first mother of preschoolers, MAPS, in Toulouse, where I lived for 3 years. But it was just during those things. And I always longed for a community where people would live life together. And it didn't happen until I started homeschooling. So when I started homeschooling, I said, you know what, I'll just start my community. And then I started my co-op, homeschool co-op.
And so you met other people who were interested in homeschooling, or was it just a kind of across the board? So people.
No, it was homeschoolers, homeschool moms. And I had like 47 kids and 13 mom, like 13 or 14 families that would meet on Wednesdays at my house to be together, and would also meet to go to the park or to the library or to do some excursions. But even then, it wasn't every day.
Yeah.
And there is a book and there is a whole community behind it. It's called the Continuum Concept. Have you heard of it?
No, I haven't heard of that one.
I mean, it's Jen, what's her name? I forgot her name. Jen something. Jen Lidlow, something like that. She went to a region, I think it's in Central America. And so the way parents were living, kids were raised, and how they weren't worried, they grew up very healthy and community centered and loving and resilient and all of that. So she kind of brought that philosophy in her book called the Continuum Concept. And I know a lot of homeschoolers that I followed when I was homeschooling who followed it. And I'm actually part of the mailing list. And it's people who are really just looking for a community, involved in a community. It's very it's not common core, it's not common culture. It's really back to the basics of coming to the basic needs of the children, and it's all about attachment, like the real attachment, that I think also that is vital for a proper development of the child. And the moms also have the help they need, the resources they need, to live their motherhood in the best ways. And so some of those families still get together and live together for some points, and kids are free to go and be in some of the houses, and they're just healthy children, but that's completely the opposite of modern living.
Yeah.
But that appeals to me very much.
So to just have a supportive community and community-based,
community-based parenting, and
maybe you can start your own
sharing.
I was gonna say commune.
Community, but so I think that's my African heritage that is very strong, and that responds to that. Even like I wore my children, I wore them, and in a ergo baby, I call it like a baby carrier. But in Africa too, you wear your babies, you put them in your back, and then you do everything with them. You cook, you clean, and so like my daughter, she's still very clingy.
How long do you do that? Because I would think
I still carry Bella Joy sometimes when I'm cooking. I still wear her.
How much does she weigh now?
She is presque 17 kilos. Let me translate it for you. Elle fait 16 kg 8 fois 2.2, 37 pounds.
Yeah, that's
not very heavy.
Well, but if you're holding a 30,
I'm wearing her, so it's
all the
basically
time,
on my torso and my hip. So
I feel like that's a lot.
For me, it's not. And so I wear her and I do things with her, and she just lives with me, and she is good. She is settled, and I don't care that she's 3, that I'm still her. So that's fun. And also, I nursed her until last January. I was still nursing her. She's
really? So it's for 2 years?
3.
For 3 years. Wow. So how did that work when the teeth came in? I'm curious about that.
She never bit me.
It was fine.
She didn't beat me. And I'm very, I have a friend who said to me, you should stop this. I'm like, what? The World Health Organization recommends it until they're 3 or 4. She's like, yeah, but you're not in a starving country, something like that. And for me, that was very judgmental. And I'm like, no, I mean, that's the best for her. For our bonding, it's awesome. But then by 3, like I went to Phoenix, Arizona for my Cabby Fashion Week. And then I said, okay, when I come back, I'm like tired. I will have to stop. So it was a little hard to have to win her. But we did it until she was 3. And up.
Forgot their keys, so
yeah.
outside of the door. It's like, well, you're locked out now. But that's. I think Corvo went. I know at least 6 months, and maybe, and we were in the process, just like a factory. We stored up a lot, froze a lot as well. So we had, I think, for another couple of months after that, it might have been 8 months total that was just on breast milk, and that's
I think it's great for the kids. My younger boy, my 2 older, they didn't have as much. But Isaiah was like 5 months. Noah was 10 months. And Bella Joy was 3. And I can see the difference in the way she has more of a secure attachment, Bella Joy, than the boys.
So evolutionarily speaking, what like human beings, do you know if there's an age that they're designed to go to?
As much, I mean, evolution.
Like as long as possible?
I'm more creationist than evolutionist.
Oh,
So
well, okay, but but however genetically they're built.
I mean, there is no, I mean, for me, when the kids is 5 or 6, I wouldn't do it, because
Uh,
when the kids come and, lift your shirt to eat,
yeah,
I
yeah,
think,
yeah,
well, maybe you can do better. But there again, I'm not judging. I wouldn't, but for me, until 3 is healthy until as long as the kids need it. We haven't seen a 10-year-old nursing still. They don't need it. At some point, they want to go on their own, they want to go. So every kid is different. It's like walking. Some walk
yeah.
at, like Isaiah walked, he was 9 months. Noah walked, he was 17 months,
Uh-huh.
maybe. Bella Joy, she was maybe 11 months. So
Mhm.
kids, it's
So it
not
just
the
varies
one size
between,
fits all.
yeah,
They all
yeah,
have
yeah,
their, we just know that by the time they're 2, they're all walking. So
yeah,
you don't, a kid that is like 10 months and he's not walking, you're not like, okay, it's about time you walk, right? You
yeah,
let
yeah.
him, yeah, it's development, child
But if
development.
they're 2 years, you're thinking, well, maybe we should be concerned.
I think we should just listen to our body and
Yeah, yeah,
let nature runs the show.
yeah, yeah. That's good. Well, this conversation took a turn I didn't expect we would go, but
We
that's
never have a plan. We never have an agenda,
yeah, that's
right?
good. That's good. I like it.
Yes.
All
So
right.
tomorrow
Well,
I want to go, and Thursday I want to go and see Les Miserables,
nice.
and I'm looking for someone to go with me
Uh-huh.
in Detroit here. I have a lot of friends who've already seen it, but
Uh-huh.
I just put out a post
Uh-huh.
to have some friends come with me.
Uh-huh.
It's late. It's at 8 p.m. It's in Detroit. And
Nice.
so it's fun. Have you seen Les Miserables?
I just saw the movie. I
Oh,
I,
there's the
I
Hugh
saw
Jackman one.
the Hugh Jackman and whoever, and
Have
that
you read
was.
the book?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I read.
At school?
I no. I was fascinated with it from the time I saw a television adaptation when I was in junior high, I think, and I
Okay.
read the abridged versions. And my dad told me the story about how he plowed through it in the original French when
Oh
he
yeah,
was in
I think you
college.
told
Yeah.
that to me. I
Yeah,
think
and
I
I
remember
was
you
thinking that
telling
was
that.
just that's pretty astonishing that you
It's
had the
awesome. It's
perseverance to
big.
do
Yeah.
that, because I read the unabridged English version. What was I? I was about 24 or 25. I'd broken my elbow, and so I was doing teaching as much as I could, but other than that, I was just kind of sitting on my couch, and so I had it, and I during that time I read it, the bulk of it in
Yeah.
about 2 months, I think. And
Wow.
it was fascinating, but yeah,
It
it's
is.
so long. It's a
Victor
big
Hugo
book.
is a great writer. It was, yeah. Hmm.
I
Did you
like
read
how
The
he.
Hunchback of Notre Dame?
I no, I don't think I read that. I did visit Notre Dame in
Yeah,
Paris.
Notre Dame de Paris. Yeah, it's fun. So I'm excited to go and see it. I've never seen the musical. I don't know how they've adapted it. So I'm excited to go
It
and see
was,
it.
well, I mean, the movie is the musical just set to film, and I was deeply affected by it. I thought.
Yeah, I heard I'm not sure I saw the Hugh Jackman one, but I heard it was like, I don't know if it was beautiful. Like, it's not beautiful, of course, because, during the French Revolution and stuff, it was like dirty and all of it, and
Yeah,
the story itself. But was it like well done? Did you like it? Did
yeah,
you like the movie?
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I sort of, well, I was imagining myself, well, what if I would have seen this on stage? Would I have had the same reaction? Would have been a different
Mm.
reaction? But like I said, I thought it was really well done. I went to see it with Corvo, actually. We went to the theater to see it when it came out in its initial release, and I've watched it a couple of times on cable or whatever when it comes out. It's, yeah,
Yeah.
and
So
the
yeah,
music kind
probably
of
go on
enhances it.
Thursday
But of
evening
course,
or. Mhm.
it's hard to. If I remember right, the story spans over the space of like 30 years or 40 years or something, right? So
Mhm.
it's hard in the space of, what it would be like 2.5 hours, 3 hours or whatever on stage to really
Yeah, it's 3
get.
hours. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's long. So, but it's fun. It's really
Yeah,
fun.
well, that's awesome. And there's some music in there that's really powerful too. So
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
it's actually, this is something I told my music appreciation students. It is an opera.
It is.
Yeah, because the definition of an opera is all the dialogue is sung, and
It's
that's
yeah,
what
it
happens
is.
there.
It
Yeah,
is. It
so
is.
that's really cool. So,
Mhm.
all right.
Okay.
Anyway, well, we'll go off on another tangent if we talk about that too long. But all right, thanks everybody for joining us.
Thank you. We'll
This
see you
afternoon.
tomorrow.
We'll see you
Tomorrow is
tomorrow.
number 100 or it's Thursday?
Thursdays. One.
Okay. And we'll talk about the changes on Thursday.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Boo.